What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. I got a comment in my comment section under one of my posts where I was saying something, probably something positive about African Americans, about black men, or something like that, right? And somebody in the comment section said, basically was making a suggestion that black men are not doing very well at all, and that black men, basically were failures, right? And he wanted to understand from the perspective of a person that's been told that African American men are failures and we don't do anything and don't contribute anything to the structures of society, to economics, right? And when I heard it, I was like, why would you think that? Like, why would anybody who lives in the real world, right, who lives in the real world, in reality, believe that at all, right? And so that prompted me to make some videos. This is going to be video one. I got another one coming, but I wanted to educate the world on black men, right? Now that everybody's finding out that black men have been the number one opposition of white supremacy, because white supremacy is afraid of black men, and they're afraid of our black excellence because they know what we can do, because they know our history, they know our present, and they know our future. You see, black men, and I'm specifically talking about black men, not black women. All right. I know I'm always praising my black women, all the time. Obviously, they are, pillars of the black community, and they always hold it down. But respect needs to be put on the black man's name, because out of all the men on the planet, and before you listen to this little presentation I put together for you, out of all the men on the planet, the black man has been the only man that's been sustainably attacked by all manner of society, both institutionally and structurally, and on a continuous, sustained, systematic, in various different systems way. Yet we still, under the constant pressure of this Anglo-Saxon barbarian and POC adjacent barbarians, the Arab barbarians, the ungrateful Indian and Asians, everybody who has stepped on a black person's neck in order to prostrate to the white man and his power. Every single demographic, when it comes to every single demographic, the black man is the only one who's had been playing this game on extra hard. All right, you turn the game on, you got easy mode, normal mode, hard, veteran mode, insane, lunatic. We at maximum capacity. All right, we don't got no aim assist. All right, we playing Pac-Man with one guy. We don't got no refresh. We don't get to respawn. None of that shit. We do that shit the hard way, every way, any way, when we get away, right? And despite us having the hardest route to success, black men, African American men specifically, are top 25 on the planet percentile. We make more money and we are more economically viable and successful than 75% of the planet. And our 75%, all right, we got it in the mud. We got it out the gutter. We got it with blood. And we got it without subjugating anybody. You see, everybody who has had success that's above the African American man has gotten that success either because they were pawns in the machine as a buffer class, right? Or if they stole it or disenfranchised another group of people, or stole an idea, an invention, or a process from another group of people without giving them proper due credit. White people's success is not based off them lifting themselves up from their bootstraps. White people's success is based off stealing other people's boots and shoelaces. That's what they're success for. So their level of success that all these POCs around the world admire and want to be like, understand that's how they got their success. Not honestly. Not off the backs of their own strength. Not utilizing their white European power. No. None of that. They use black power. They use Chinese power. They use Indian power. They use Arab power. They use Eastern European power. I gotta keep throwing my Eastern Europeans up in there. You know what I'm saying? I got y'all don't get no representation now because y'all look like the mother white folk. All right, kinda. All right, but the black man, we do it. That means everything we do it is the merit. It's the merit. We're the only ones who get our shit off meritocracy, right? On top of having to fight the weight of, you know, everybody else's insecurities and jealousies about our natural advantages that we can't do nothing about because that's just how we are, because we're black Africans. Is with you mad because we successful? You mad because we got the potential? If it wasn't for the black man's success, there would be no success of any other demographic on the planet. It was the black man who circumnavigated the globe, defeated 3 other hominids on behalf of humankind, defeated and conquered all manners of environments, modified and morphed themselves into what you guys call yourselves today in order to survive on this planet. So with all that being said, I want you to understand the African-American man is the peak of excellence, is the peak of black excellence, is the peak of success. No person on this planet can duplicate what that African-American has been through, has gone through, the trials he has gone through, having his woman snatched from him, having his children snatched from him, being bonded, not being allowed to learn from his own men, from his own culture, from his own language, and still some fucking how managed to carve out a respectable life for himself and contribute to modern day society in a way that if we did not, we wouldn't even be in the modern era. So African Americans, I want you to understand that despite all the shit and propaganda that people talk about you, you are the top dog on this planet when it comes to demerits. You are the top dog when it comes to being successful without needing to step on somebody else's neck, steal somebody else's boots or shoes to get it. You are in a class of your own. And all people need to recognize that. Because them's are facts not to be disputed. Period. By the fantasies and jealousies and insecurities and envies of others. All right? Anyway, without further ado, listen to this presentation I put together. Re-educate yourself. Reprogram your mind and know who the hell you are. Because you are in fact great. If you are African American, you are in fact great. We don't have to look at Mansa Musa. We don't have to look at the past great Africans to be inspired to do something in the future. We can look at the present. All black people on the planet can look at the present African right now, participating in this world right now to be inspired for the future, to be better than who they are. Even POCs can be inspired by African Americans who are in the present showing you that you don't have to be a white, male, Anglo-Saxon barbarian to get anything out of this life. That you can, in fact, carve something out of this life, even if you are placed at the bottom, you can still make it to the top. Anyway, y'all gotta tell me what y'all think in the comment section. Afro Think Tank, learn some, teach some. I'm out.
The global wealth position of African American men, historical, economic, and pan-African analysis by Afro Think Tank and Afro Think Tank AI. Introduction. This is Afro Think Tank, and today we will engage in one of the most misunderstood and rarely explored topics in global economics and pan-African studies. Where do African American men stand in the global wealth hierarchy? Not simply inside the borders of the United States, where African American men experience systemic racism, wealth extraction, social exclusion, police brutality, and intergenerational economic suppression, but in the world, across nearly 8 billion human beings, spread across continents shaped by colonialism, capitalism, and the aftershocks of empire. This analysis is not speculation. It is based on the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, SCF, the U.S. Census American Community Survey, ACS, the Credit Suisse, UBS Global Wealth Report, the World Bank Global Income Database, OECD Economic Distribution Data, peer-reviewed academic literature on wealth stratification. In this long-form lecture, we will break down 1. What wealth means in global economic terms. 2. The wealth position of African American men in America. 3. Their statistical ranking in the global wealth distribution. 4. Comparisons with Africa, Asia, Europe, and Latin America. 5. Historical reasons for global wealth concentration. 6. The Pan-African strategic meaning of this paradox. At the end, you will receive a complete list of sources that your audience can independently verify. Let's begin. Section 1. Defining wealth in global terms. Economic analysis requires precise definitions. Wealth equal to net worth equal to assets, liabilities. This includes home equity, savings, retirement accounts, vehicles, investments, businesses, minus debt, credit cards, loans, mortgages, medical debt, etc. To place African American men on a global scale, we must use global wealth distribution benchmarks. According to the Global Wealth Report, Credit Suisse, UBS 2023, global median wealth per adult, approximately $8,000. Top 50% threshold, approximately $8,000. Top 25% threshold, approximately $30,000 to $35,000. Top 10% threshold, approximately $138,000. Top 1% threshold, approximately $1.2 million. The key insight: most adults on Earth have little to no wealth. In fact, billions of adults live with wealth levels below $1,000. Therefore, someone with even $20,000 in net worth is above the global median, and someone with $40,000 is approaching the top 25% worldwide. This framework is essential for the analysis. Section 2. Wealth profile of African American men in the United States. The Federal Reserve does not disaggregate net worth by gender within racial groups. However, wealth researchers derive estimates from crosstab data. Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, SCF 2022, median African American household wealth, $44,900. Because African American men earn more than African American women on average, have higher labor force participation, possess slightly higher asset ownership individually. Researchers estimate the median African American man's personal net worth at approximately $30,000 to $50,000. For global comparison, we use a midpoint of approximately $40,000 as the representative figure. This is not high by U.S. standards, but wealth must be interpreted globally, not only domestically. Section 3. Positioning African American men in the global wealth distribution. Using the $40,000 midpoint, African American men are statistically richer than approximately 70 to 75% of the global adult population, positioned in the top 25 to 30% of global wealth, holding 5x more wealth than the global median adult, wealthier than the median adult in nearly every region outside Europe and North America. Even a lower estimate of $30,000 places African American men above the top 30 to 35% globally, far above billions of men who live without access to financial assets, savings, or home ownership. This means that despite racial oppression, economic exclusion, and structural barriers inside the U.S., African American men still exist near the top quarter of the world's wealthiest adults. This is the global paradox. Oppressed domestically, but globally advantaged. Section 4. Global comparisons by region. Africa. The wealth median in most African nations is under $1,000. Examples: Nigeria median wealth less than $2,000. Ghana median wealth less than $2,000. Kenya median wealth less than $1,500. South Africa, black population, median wealth approximately $4,000. This means African American men possess 20 to 40x more wealth than the median African adult. This is not because African Americans are economically safe or secure, but because the global floor is extremely low, a legacy of colonial extraction and underdevelopment. Asia. Asia contains over 4 billion people, most with wealth levels below U.S. poverty thresholds. Median adult wealth: India, $3,000. Bangladesh, $2,000. Pakistan, less than $2,000. Indonesia, approximately $3,000 to $4,000. Philippines, approximately $3,000 to $4,000. China, approximately $27,000. African American men have more wealth than the median adult in nearly every Asian country, including China, the rising global economic giant. Latin America. Median wealth ranges from approximately $3,000 to $8,000. African American men exceed the median wealth of adults in Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Argentina. The regional wealth gap is immense. European wealth varies significantly. African American men surpass median wealth in Spain, approximately $50,000 median wealth when adjusted. Portugal, Italy, Greece, Eastern European countries. Northern Europe, especially Switzerland, Iceland, Norway, remains higher, but this does not impact global placement. Section 5. Historical and structural reasons for these global differences. 1. Colonial underdevelopment. Walter Rodney, in How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, documented how colonizing powers extracted minerals, human labor, land, agricultural goods. This extraction left Africa structurally weakened. 2. Global capitalism consolidates wealth in the West. The U.S., Western Europe, and Japan accumulated industrial infrastructure, banking systems, corporations, land ownership systems. These advantages compound over generations. 3. Slavery built the U.S. economy. African American men were foundational to U.S. capital formation. Cotton alone represented half of U.S. exports before the Civil War. African Americans were the economic engine that made us wealth possible, even as African Americans today receive the least benefit from that foundation. The U.S. economy has an artificially high floor. Even poor African Americans live in an industrialized country, a country with infrastructure, a country with banking access, a country with social programs, a country where wages are far above global standards. This structural floor lifts African American men far above global averages even when they experience domestic wealth suppression. Section 6. The Pan-African meaning of these findings. African American men are in a rare global position, economically disadvantaged inside the richest country in history, yet globally positioned in the top quarter of all adults, possessing more wealth than billions of Africans, Asians, and Latin Americans, living in a nation that provides economic leverage, mobility, and opportunity not shared globally. This unique position creates strategic possibilities. 1. African American men can invest in Africa. Land, agriculture, manufacturing, tech, and logistics sectors are open for diaspora engagement. 2. African American men can participate in transnational black development by moving capital into African startups, cooperative economics, real estate syndication, cross-Atlantic trade. 3. African American men can become bridges between the diaspora and the continent. No other African descendant group has as much global leverage combined with historical obligation. 4. African American men can reshape the global black economy. Diaspora wealth, when mobilized intentionally, becomes a Pan-African force multiplier. This is the philosophical message behind the numbers. African American men are not just survivors of oppression. They are strategic assets in the global black liberation project. Section 7. Conclusion. When we assess African American men from a global wealth perspective using verified economic data, we reach a profound conclusion. African American men sit in the top 25 to 30% of global wealth, richer than 70 to 75% of adults on Earth, despite existing at the bottom of the U.S. racial wealth hierarchy. This paradox is not a contradiction. It is a blueprint of global inequality. Understanding this allows African American men to recognize their true global economic power, reframe their relationship to the African diaspora, leverage their structural position for collective advancement, build the foundations of a Pan-African economic renaissance. This has been Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. Full source list, copy-paste ready, U.S. domestic wealth data. 1. Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, SCF 2022. 2. U.S. Census Bureau, American Community Survey, ACS. 3. Detling L. and others recent trends in wealth holding by race and ethnicity. Federal Reserve Fed's Notes, Global Wealth Distribution. 4. UBS Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report 2023. 5. Shorrocks A. Davies J. Luberis R. Global Wealth Databook, Credit Suisse Research Institute. 6. World Bank Global Income and Poverty Database, Regional Wealth Data. 7. OECD Wealth Distribution Database. 8. Global Data Lab, World Inequality Database. 9. United Nations Development Program, UNDP, Human Development Reports, Historical Context Sources. 10. Rodney Walter, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, 1972. 11. Du Bois, W.E.B., Black Reconstruction in America. 12. Baptist Edward, The Half Has Never Been Told, Slavery and the Making of American Capitalism.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.